The Gospel accounts place us here, on the rugged eastern shore of the Sea of Galilee, within the region of the Gerasenes. Standard pastoral and academic interpretations tend to sanitize the narrative that unfolds on this specific hillside. They frame the account of the Gerasene demoniac as a straightforward medical miracle, the story of a sick man being made well. This event was a terrifying cosmic experiment, testing the reaction of biological life to unmitigated, chaotic spiritual toxicity. Looking at this event as a simple healing story ignores the visceral data of the text. The narrative actually provides a technical map of the foundational, structural resilience inherent in human nature. The biblical account identifies two distinct subjects for this experiment: a single human, known as Legion, and a large herd of feeding swine. Both subjects are exposed to the same spiritual pathogen, a legion of malevolent entities defined by their impulse for destruction. Analyzing the results of this exposure allows us to build a functional, structural model of the theological concept known as the Imago Dei. The gulf between the herd's collapse and the man's survival reveals a structural difference in their composition, an architectural distinction we will now analyze. The Gospel of Luke records the exact sequence of events. The demons request entry into the herd, receive permission, and immediately transfer their presence into the pigs. The swine serve as the control group, a purely biological substrate lacking internal spiritual architecture. This demonic influx encountered no structural resistance or period of struggle. The herd's plunge was the unfiltered expression of demonic ontology. Here, presence equaled absolute self-annihilation. The fate of the swine establishes our baseline. When unmitigated evil meets a vessel lacking spiritual depth, the result is instantaneous obliteration. To understand this collapse, we use Viveiros de Castro's concept of perspectivism, which defines the body as a bundle of affects and capacities. This illustrates hexis, where physical forms act as biological clothing, determining a species' threshold for reality. The pigs lacked a complex, negotiable subjectivity. Their exteriority offered no friction to the demonic imperative, allowing it to instantly rescript their reality. The transformation was absolute. The swine were overwritten by a different perspective, becoming suicidal entities because their original form could not maintain its own integrity. This suggests that transformability into non-being is the default state for any vessel that lacks a structural anchor to resist spiritual invasion. We find the human subject in the tombs, isolated, violent, and existing in a state of prolonged agony. The timeline here is critical. While the swine collapsed in an instant, the man survived under a relentless demonic siege for a considerable time. The right side of our map shows the difference. The human form is anchored to a complex soul, creating a resilient internal geometry. The demonic forces battered the outer layers of his psyche, but encountered a rigid, unbroken core that refused to be erased. This survival proves that human ontology possesses an intrinsic integrity. The man suffered degradation within his framework, but he was never transformed out of it. The Imago Dei provides the structural definition for this unyielding core, encompassing the faculties of rationality, volition, and self-awareness that maintained their integrity under assault. Demonic entities recognize this divine imprint's resilience. It cannot be cleared away like simple biological matter. Evil is forced into a war of attrition, shifting its goal from immediate destruction to the slow, insidious corruption of the human soul. When Christ arrived, he found this architecture still intact. The man was retrievable, capable of returning to a right mind, because his fundamental human structure remained salvageable. The Imago Dei functions as a metaphysical anchor, granting human life a spiritual density that prevents the total dissolution seen in lesser forms of life. Christ asserts authority as the sovereign arbiter of the spiritual realm, holding absolute command over these chaotic forces. His command over the legion dictates the terms of their exit, demonstrating total dominion over their destructive impulses. The man's return to society is a living sacrament, a public reconsecration of the divine image that the demons could not destroy. The pig's plunge remains a stark vision of what happens when creation is stripped of its divine anchor and left to the unbridled fury of chaos. Humanity is an entity forged in fire. Our capacity to endure, to resist erasure, and to be restored by divine love marks the terrifying and unique condition of being human.